One of my favorite things to do in modern games is trophy hunt, and I get it, not every gamer out there enjoys it or understands the point of it. But for me, someone who plays quite a lot of games each and every week, it makes me play games I never would have touched before, and it makes me dive deeper into games that I'm already loving. Throughout getting 126 platinums that I currently have, at least as of this video, I've done a lot of easy ones, a lot of tough ones, and ones that I regret even attempting to do. But I figured for today's countdown, I'll look at 10 of the easiest PlayStation 4 platinums. Now, they're not going to be in an exact order from the hardest to the easiest, but I'll try to put it in that semblance of an order. But either way, here we go with 10 of the easiest platinums you can get right now on the PlayStation 4. Now, as we're kicking off this list, I want to let you know that I'm not going to include any of the Telltale games. They're extremely easy. All the Telltale adventure-style games are very easy to get the platinums, but there will be a couple of adventure-style games amongst this list. Goosebumps, the video game, based on the R.L. Stine novels from the 90s that all 90s kids go nostalgia crazy over, is a great point-and-click, easy platinum. It's really a fun game that I actually could recommend to point-and-click adventure fans anyway for the content that is there and the overall puzzle solving that is involved with figuring everything out. Not necessarily the toughest point-and-click, but definitely enjoyable for what it is. It also has an extremely easy platinum. There's a great guide on PlayStation Trophies which will walk you step by step on how to beat the game in the shortest amount of time and get all the trophies along the way. You will have to play the game through a couple of times, well, at least up to certain points a few times, because there's a couple of different endings and a couple of different things that you can interact with that you may not necessarily go to during certain playthroughs, but it's still extremely easy and extremely short to get through. The hardest trophy is getting through the game in 175 turns or less, which every time you click on something, every time you move counts as a turn, but the guide on PlayStation Trophies will walk you through that and you'll be able to easily obtain it. Goosebumps, the video game, is actually pretty fun for a point-and-click game and definitely an easy platinum. A platinum that I'm actually currently working on as I'm doing this video, in fact the game is paused just over to my left, is Adam's Venture Origin. It's a very short adventure game that's kind of like Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones, Uncharted, but with no combat or actual lot of enjoyment overall. But the great thing about the game is it's extremely short to get through, only taking about 3.5 hours in order to complete the game, and you're going to be getting almost all the trophies just by beating it. There's only 2 other trophies that are involved in the game that aren't going to be given to you by completing the main story. One of which is a collectible one, which I always am not a fan of, but there's only 3 collectibles in the entire game, and 2 of them are in the first chapter and the final one in chapter 5. The other trophy is literally staying asleep when you start up the game. As soon as you begin the game, your character is sleeping, and as long as you don't wake him up for 90 seconds, you're rewarded with not only a trophy, but a gold trophy. That sets the stage for why Adam's Venture Origins is an extremely easy platinum. A few months ago, Namco released a bunch of classic arcade games onto the PlayStation 4. Not only are they nostalgia, classic, cheap, but they all individually have a platinum. Dig Dug, Galaga, Miss Pac-Man, and the one that I specifically want to include here, the classic original Pac-Man game. Now, these games do take a little bit of skill. Arcade veterans probably won't have any problem regardless, but if you are having a little bit of trouble getting them, the game allows you to save at any point. Mid-level, you can just decide to pause, quit, and save the game. Now, when you load that save back up, it does erase your save, so you won't be able to keep going back in. Or can you? You can easily copy your save data once you make a save over to a USB device or to the cloud, and then copy it back over to your PlayStation 4 once you've loaded it, and if you accidentally ended up failing whatever trophy you were particularly going for. While I think it's easily obtainable to get all these trophies without doing that, this just makes it extremely easy, and all 4 of these games end up having a pretty easy platinum that you can get in just a few hours. Nero, or Nothing Ever Remains Obscure, is a very easy walking simulator style of game with a few puzzles here and there to break things up. It has an extremely short campaign in under 2 hours in order to complete it, and they also have some great walkthrough videos available on YouTube to help you step by step get through it and find everything and solve every puzzle easily. I actually recommend using the videos along with your playthrough if you're just going for that easy platinum, because I ended up missing a puzzle along the way, and in fact I actually have to replay the game because of it. So just to get that easy platinum, boot up that video alongside your TV and watch it, and you can actually move along with it because the character moves so ridiculously slow, it ends up being extremely easy to follow it. Coffin Dodgers is an extremely easy kart racing game where you play as a group of people from an old folks home who are trying to outrace death, and whoever comes in last in the race ends up being taken away by the Grim Reaper himself. But the reason, of course, I'm talking about it here is that the game includes an extremely easy platinum. You will have to play through the game's story mode, unfortunately, a couple of times in order to grind out everything, but honestly, it only took me about 2.5 playthroughs, which only takes a couple of hours. In fact, I got the platinum in a single sitting in about 3 hours or less, and that was with me kind of goofing off and taking my time through things. While it's not a great kart racing game overall, Coffin Dodgers ends up being an extremely easy PS4 platinum. One of my favorite games on this list, and was actually a surprise when I played it earlier this year, was Hitman Go. It's kind of a chess board game style of Hitman game, where you move the character around, complete various goals, and assassinate people in various different ways, but you have to do it all strategically. You move a space, and other characters will then be able to move, and it's all kind of a big puzzle-solving experience. I actually really enjoyed the overall gameplay, but if you're just looking for an easy platinum, there are great solutions available online that are extremely easy to follow, and you'll have no problem not only being able to beat every level, but being able to complete every goal along the way. And there's only a few levels here and there where you'll have to consistently replay them a few times in order to complete all the tasks, but even with all that, the game ends up being a very short and easy platinum to obtain. Gemini Heroes Reborn, based on the Heroes Reborn television series, has you playing as a hero with telekinetic powers that can actually do time manipulation as well, jumping from the present to the past in order to solve puzzles and be able to take out enemies along the way. It's a very kind of discount way of like BioShock, where you have the telekinetic ability to pick up bodies and launch them at things. So I actually really enjoyed the gameplay, though I heard a lot of people ended up not liking the game and thought it was a broken mess. I didn't really have those problems. But the key to here is the fact that it has a very easy platinum, with almost all of the trophies being done by playing the main story, with only a couple of them going outside of that, and there's some great videos and guides online, so you should have no problem being able to get through Gemini Heroes Reborn in just a couple of hours, plus have that platinum once you're done. Snoopy's Grand Adventure, which was released at the end of 2015 to coincide with the Peanuts movie, was a fun little short platformer. It was extremely easy and not difficult by any means, and there are collectibles among the various levels. But even for someone who hates collectibles, and there was no guides available, I still had absolutely no problem finding all the jelly beans and finding all the Woodstock troop members along the way. In fact, the game itself can be beaten in a little over an hour, and maybe less than 2.5 to maybe 3 at most, in order to find all those collectibles and get that shiny platinum. And now that the game is actually getting pretty much into the bargain bin territory, it's really not bad to pick up and get that easy plat. While it's my least favorite of the recently released Adventure Time games, Adventure Time Finn and Jake's Investigation is a point-and-click style adventure game, but you're actually in control of both Finn and Jake, going through various areas and trying to interact with citizens and give them various items and interacting with items in order to complete some small goals. There's no way to fail in the game whatsoever, but the biggest problem with it is there are collectibles and there's no way to replay levels, so I do recommend highly using a guide along the way so you can get everything in one single go. That's why, unfortunately, I don't actually have the platinum for this game currently, as I need to play through it again because I unfortunately missed a snail or two along the way. But don't let that happen to you. Get Finn and Jake's Investigations, use a guide, and you'll have a platinum in a couple of hours. Before I get to number 1, there is a couple of little honorable mentions I felt like putting on here as well. I talked about Everybody's Gone to the Rapture earlier, which is a very easy platinum, especially with a guide, and the same goes for the absolute classic, and a game that I love from back in the day that recently got re-released and remastered, and I really ended up enjoying it all over again, and it has an extremely easy platinum to go along with it, and that's Day of the Tentacle Remastered. This classic LucasArts game, which was done very nicely in its remastered form, and I definitely recommend it to old school fans and anybody who's interested in a point and click game. Definitely check it out, and you should have no problem easily obtaining that plat. One of the most annoying games I played last year, Skyscrappers, a 4-player fighting game that you unfortunately do have to play the game as each of the characters. But the good thing is, there's only 4 total playable characters and only a couple of levels for you to play through in total. The worst thing about this platinum and why I don't really recommend it as highly as some of the ones on this list is the fact you have to do it all in one sitting. It can all be done in less than 2 hours, don't get me wrong, but if you actually exit out of the game, you're going to have to replay it as each of the characters because there's a glitch in it that I don't think was ever fixed, but it's still an extremely easy and short platinum to obtain. The reason why it's number 1 on this list is because it's my favorite game on this list, and that is Life is Strange, the Square Enix adventure game which has a time manipulation gimmick where you get to actually rewind time and make multiple choices, and your choices actually end up affecting things not only in the same episodes, as the game is episodic, but also in later episodes once you make certain choices and you have to live with them as you make it farther into the game. It has a very easy platinum to go along with everything where you'll have to find pictures to take throughout the course of each of the episodes, but there are great guides out there which will easily guide you along the way, and the game is relatively short with each episode taking about an hour, hour and a half in order to get through, depending upon how hard it is for you to find the pictures, as well as how much you kind of manipulate time and go through all the various choices. It has a great story that goes along with everything and some good tunes to go along with the adventure as well. One of my absolute favorite games of the last couple of years, and I highly recommend it, not only for trophy hunters, but for video game enthusiasts in general. So there you have it, over 10 very easy platinums that you can get right now on the PlayStation 4. Let me know down in the comments section below, what was the easiest platinum that you've ever gotten? What is your favorite game to actually trophy hunt in? It doesn't necessarily have to be your favorite game, but what was the most enjoyable as you were going through the trophies? And if you hate trophy hunting, put a comment down there that says, I hate trophy hunting. I don't care. Whatever you want to put down there is a-okay in my book. Let me know also what other kind of list you would like to see for maybe trophy hunting or for the PlayStation 4 more modern systems, as this is the first time I'm attempting really a countdown list recently for a modern system. But anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and look out for another list in the future. If you enjoyed this, let me know if you want to see more, because there's actually plenty of other easy platinums I could have included, but I kind of had to narrow it down to just a few for this particular list. But anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and of course I hope you enjoy.